So, about a couple of years ago, I started seeing the 20-inch rally shoppers type deals restored and like done up and made looking cool, and I was obsessed. I was like, that is such a cool idea, almost like the ultimate rat bike. But one day I saw this was beyond anything I'd thought of at this point with these type of little like mini shoppers, and I started hunting for them, and I never really found one I liked. There was a couple of the, I think they're called Puch. I probably have one here as well. There you go, that one. Which I liked. I liked the green. I think it was really cool. But yeah, couldn't really find anything I really truly liked. But then randomly one day I found this on a website in the UK called Argos, and I can't really remember why I found it, how I found it, but I was like, damn, that would be sick. But they were like 300 quid. I think at the time they're 300 quid. They're a bit cheaper now, but still, I was like, it's not worth it. It's a catalogue bike. It's not like it's gonna be crap. So I was like, I ain't doing that. But it didn't stop me having a little look around online for them. I found several eBay listings for them, and they were like about 170 quid. Had a few kind of modifications on them, like newer grips and nicer saddles, things like that. But generally, they weren't around. So I kind of gave up on it until one day I found this one on Facebook Marketplace, and it was a lot cheaper. Lots cheaper. But as you're probably wondering from the title of this video, what is a mini velo? I kind of stumbled across mini velo after being into my kind of 20-inch rally shoppers and stuff, and found out there was actually a whole bigger thing to it and a bigger scene with these little bikes. But mini velos are basically a compact or a regular size frame on compact wheels. So generally they have 20-inch wheels, and the frame is full size, or at least full height. This makes them easy to store as well, so you can fit them in hallways quite easily. Like the one that I picked up, the pedals fold in flat and the handlebar goes down. So as much as it's still is reasonably long and kind of big, it's flat and you can fit it in a smaller place than a normal bike. Mini velos became really popular in places like Japan and East Asia, where the density of the cities is so much higher there, so the flats and the places people live in are generally a lot smaller as well, so they needed this kind of thing. But the thing with the mini velos, not only was it small and compact, you can put it in a smaller place, they're also a little bit quicker on the start and a little bit more punchy when you go around town or around a city, so they're kind of the ideal bike for that. But more and more as the years go on, London is certainly becoming one of those types of cities. I live in a one-bed flat. It's reasonably small. I've got quite a nice garden and I've got a shed around the back, so that's where I keep all my millions of bikes. But generally I need something that was a little bit more kind of compact that I could keep in my hallway, for example, for daily commutes and daily tasks and things. So that's when I became hooked on the idea of having myself a mini velo. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you may know that I recently bought some of these Billy Bonkers in like 20s. They're 20s. Some of you guessed why, but not all of you. Some of you thought I bought them by accident. I didn't. I knew what I was doing. But this is why. I bought that. So here it is. This is the start of my mini velo build. It's crusty, so it's just kind of how I like it. It's called an urban camper, which I'm going to kind of keep. I think that's a cool name. The quill is hanging out, so that'll be interesting. It's got 20-inch wheels with disc brakes, so I mean, come on, it's going to be sick. Oh, and it's got a pretty comfy seat. No, the seat's going. The seat is awful. I'm not sure about this yet, or at least at this point. I think it's Freewheel. It may not be. We'll work that out. And it came with a free phone holder. What more can you want? Free lights? Yep, it came with free lights too. They don't work. So onto the teardown. The teardown was pretty straightforward. There wasn't too much kind of craziness involved, but there was a couple of interesting parts. after removing the rear wheel, it then looked like it was actually maybe a Uniglide kind of deal instead of a Freewheel. Parts of it still had like the plastic left on it from where it was wrapped up. The guy said he only rode it like once, which I kind of believe him now. But even if he had only rode it once, it'd been left in the garden for a year, so some of the bolts were a bit corroded. I tried to extract the screw with my drill, but it just kept crumbling. It was really bad, so I used brute force instead. Now, I honestly thought the bars would be so easy to get out, considering the quill is basically not in the frame that much. But even when I loosened the bolt at the top, like, it was so stuck. I ended up putting the wheel back in and stripping the bars so I could put it between my legs and twist it harder. But then, whilst looking at it, I remembered the bend, the joint, like surely the bolt doesn't go all the way through. So I opened it and, well, it didn't. There was another bolt. So I don't know what the first bolt does. But as I imagined, as soon as I undid the right bolt, it just came straight out. So the last couple of things was removing the chain, the rear derailleur, the brakes, and then the actual cranksets. Oh, and the bottom bracket. Now, because the quill wasn't all the way in, there's a lot of water that got into the side of the fork, so you can see that it's super crusty. So I'm going to have to do something to get rid of that rust before I can build it back up again, but it shouldn't be too hard. And then the actual headset itself, when I pulled it out, it quite literally shattered. I think it's mainly paint, to be honest, but like a lot of it just flaked and fell to pieces, so I'm probably just going to replace that. Now, the Freewheel. So to me, it looks like it's Uniglide. If you look really closely, it has these little kind of threads just by that cog there. So it means you have to remove it from the cogs, and then you can remove all the cogs, and then you can replace it or whatever you might need to do. But to remove it, you need to use 2 chain whips. Focus. 2 chain whips. Last time I had a cassette like this, I broke one of the chain whips, hence the reason it has this really long chain. I could definitely make it shorter, but I'm lazy. Really? I'm lazy, that's why. But once you've removed the first cog, the rest of them then should just kind of all come off. Didn't quite work out like that on this one, which was a bit strange to me. But then after having a closer look, I realised that it was like a proper freewheel, it just the cogs were replaceable. So I then used the freewheel tool in the middle to then pull off the whole kind of like hub. So I can then replace it with what I want to do. It's just single speed. This was really hard to do, so I had to create this tool. It was a breaker bar with a wrench zip tied to it. And that was that. I was able to throw away the Dork disc because nobody wants that, and now it will accept a single speed freewheel, so I can make this how I want to make it. And that's that. That's the strip frame, all stripped down, cleaned, and ready to be sanded down. It's no longer Shimano equipped because I've pulled all that off, but the urban camper is ready for the next stage. a good old sanding. And then after the sanding was a chance to put on some primer. I've talked about the primer in a previous video before, but I always use the spray.bike smoothing putty. You can layer it on super thick and then sand it down to make it smooth. So this bike had a lot of imperfections on it. The chainstay even had like a load of like dimples and things. So it looks pretty bad right now and rough, but as soon as I've sanded it down and kind of got it all smooth, it's going to leave a really nice smooth surface ready to put the paint on. But I'm actually going away for a couple of days now, so this is about as far as I could get right now. But I have some really cool ideas for the actual paintwork, so do come back next week for the next video where we will paint this bike. So that's it, yeah, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd love it for you to kind of like and comment below if you can. But also, like I mentioned a second ago, I am going to paint this next week, so do subscribe so you don't miss that. And if you'd like to see some more videos that I've made previously, there's one on your screen right now. I like that one. That one's a good one.